Okay, so let's go through another Section 1 practice test. This is from IELTS book number 10, test 1. This is from the latest IELTS book. It's a great book. They have really good practice. And so if you go out and get this book, you'll have a chance to practice with some exams, practice exams that are really close to how the real exam is being done right now. So let's take a look at IELTS book number 10, test 1. And I'm going to be explaining to you how to do it. If you want, if you've gone out and got the book like I recommended, if you want to, you can stop the tape right now, stop the lecture right now, and do section 1 yourself. And then afterwards, you can come back and listen to my explanation of the answers and what answers you should have gotten and why. That's a good way you can go through the practice because that's actually how I go about the practice when I'm teaching my class with students in person. They'll do the section, and then I'll go over with them and pointing out as we go along what's right, what's wrong, and why. And so if you want that same experience, you can do the same thing. So if you want, stop the lecture now, go ahead and do section 1, and then come back and you can listen to the answer choices and get the lesson really well. Okay, so let's go through section 1. As we did with the previous example, as you know, when they start the tape, let's see, we're going to start this audio.
Cambridge English, IELTS 10, published by Cambridge University Press and Cambridge English Language Assessment, 2015. This recording is copyright. CD 1. Test 1. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 sections. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to Section 1. Section 1. You will hear a telephone conversation between a travel agent and a customer. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 6.
All right, so we can see here that they're going through questions 1 through 6, right? So when they give you this time to prepare, you should be looking at and doing the 2 things that I suggested. Number 1, predicting what the answers are going to be. And number 2, looking at the language that's before the blank line so you can listen out for that language and know when the answer is being said. Those are the 2 most important things that you have to be aware of. Also, as a side note, be aware of that many times for the question, the word order might not come in the same word order. And when they're giving you numbers, that they're going to very often give you more than one number. So when we're looking at this for number 1, we know it's going to be a name, right? Because it says 1 blank road. So they're going to most likely be spelling that name for you. You have to spell things exactly right. Then they're going to, everything goes in order, right? It goes in order from 1 to 10. It goes in order. You will never hear the answer to number 3 before you hear the answer to number 2. Doesn't work that way, okay? All right, so we'll hear the postcode, then we'll hear this phone number, then they'll do number 2. Look at what the language of the question says so you know about the answer. Heard about the company from. So whatever this answer is, it has to be an answer connected to how somebody heard about the company. So just think about what are some of those what might some of those possible answers be. Then they're going to say possible self-drive tours. Then they're going to talk about trip 1. You'll hear them say Los Angeles, right? It says customer wants to visit some parks with her children. Whatever this answer is whatever this answer is, the key language that you should have circled on your answer sheet are visit some and the word parks. Parks and visit some. That's what should be outlined or circled on your answer sheet. Visit some and the word parks. Because whatever this answer is for number 3, it connects to that language. Okay? Now you have to be aware that you might have to listen out for synonyms. Number 4, it says Yosemite Park, customer wants to stay in a lodge, not a. Right? So keywords we're listening for is something about a lodge, but our answer connects to not. Right? Our answer connects to not. And so we have to listen for that language. Then they're going to say trip to. Then it says customer wants to see the blank on the way to Cambria. All right? So whatever this answer is, right, is on the way to Cambria. Right? So that's our language you should have circle for number 5 is on the way to Cambria. See and on the way to Cambria. You're listening for an answer choice. We know it's a noun, right? Because it says see. See what? See a thing. All right? Then they're going to talk about Santa Monica. And then we're going to get down to number 6. And it's going to say at San Diego he wants to spend some time on. Right? What does he want to spend time on? All right, so listen out and try your best. And then we'll go through the answers together. And I'll point out for you what's wrong and right. Okay? So let's go back and let's get started with the audio. And right now he's giving the time for looking at the answers, but I just went through that with you so that you can, I really wanted to explain to you how to really spot keyword language and how to recognize the language that you need to listen out for that's connected to the answers. And that's what's going to really help you do a great job.
You will see that there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first.
Good morning, World Tours. My name is Jamie. How can I help you?
Good morning. I want some information on self-drive tours in the USA. Could you send me a brochure?
Of course. Could I have your name, please?
Andrea Brown.
The customer's name is Andrea Brown, so Brown has been written in the space. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 6.
Good morning, World Tours. My name is Jamie. How can I help you?
Good morning. I want some information on self-drive tours in the USA. Could you send me a brochure?
Of course. Could I have your name, please?
Andrea Brown.
Thank you. And your address?
24 Ardley Road.
Can you spell that?
Ardleigh Road.
Postcode?
BH5 2OP.
Thanks. And can I have your phone number?
Is a mobile all right?
Fine.
It's 07786 643 091.
Thank you. And can I ask you where you heard about World Tours? From a friend, or did you see an advert somewhere?
No, I read about you in the newspaper.
Okay, I'll get the brochures in the post to you, but can I give you some information over the phone? What kinds of things do you want to do on your holiday?
I'm interested in going to California with my family. I've got 2 children, and we want to hire a car.
Okay, we have a couple of self-drive tours there, visiting different places of interest in California. The first one begins in Los Angeles, and there's plenty of time to visit some of the theme parks there.
That's something on my children's list, so I'd want to include that.
Good. Then you drive to San Francisco. From San Francisco, you can drive to Yosemite Park, where you spend a couple of nights. You can choose to stay in a lodge or on the campsite.
I don't like the idea of staying in a tent. It'd be too hot.
Right. And the tour ends in Las Vegas.
Okay.
The other trip we can arrange is slightly different. It starts in San Francisco, then you drive south to Cambria.
Someone told me there's a really nice castle near Cambria. Will we go near that?
Hurst Castle is on that road, so you could stop there.
Good. I'd like to do that. Does this trip also go into the desert?
No, it continues to Santa Monica, where most people like to stop and do some shopping.
We have enough of that at home, so that doesn't interest us.
Okay. Well, you could go straight on to San Diego.
That's good for beaches, isn't it?
That's right. That's a good place to relax, and your children might like to visit the zoo before flying home.
I don't think so. We want some time for sunbathing and swimming.
Okay, so let's look at these answer choices that they gave. And let's take a look at it. Number one was pretty straightforward. That was for our previous one. And this is from IELTS. This is from IELTS Book 10. This one. All right, for number one, they spelled it for us. And normally when they do that, when they are doing that, they're going to, usually a person will say the word Ardley, and then another person will say, what, huh? How do you spell that? And then they'll come on and spell it for you, letter by letter. So A-R-D, capital, A-R-D, L-E-I-G-H. Number two, heard about company from. Right, number two was really straightforward. Number two, the answer was newspaper. Right, and the guy said, where did you hear about us? Right, and then if you notice, what he did was he made some suggestions of possibilities. So that's what they do sometimes, right? That's what they do sometimes. I'll play it again so you can kind of hear what I'm talking about.
A-R-D-L-E-I-G-H Road.
Postcode?
BH5 2OP.
Thanks. And can I have your phone number?
Is a mobile all right?
Fine.
It's 07786 643 091.
Thank you. And can I ask you where you heard about World Tours? From a friend, or did you see an advert somewhere?
No, I read about you in the newspaper.
See, a lot of times what they'll do is they'll throw out some suggestions. Right, he said from a friend or from an advert. Right, he threw out possible answers, but you're listening for the answer that she said. Right, but a lot of students will write down friend, advertisement, because that's what they heard. No, he just threw out some suggestions, but that's not the answer.
No, I read about you in the newspaper.
So the answer would be newspaper. Right, the answer would be newspaper. Now, number three was really straightforward. Our answer was theme. Theme. All right, it was theme. And it was really straightforward. They used the exact language actually when they gave it. If you listen to it, all right, they're going to.
Okay, I'll get the brochures in the post to you. But can I give you some information over the phone? What kinds of things do you want to do on your holiday?
I'm interested in going to California with my family. I've got 2 children, and we want to hire a car.
Okay, we have a couple of self-drive tours.
All right, so there they said it, self-drive tours. You should follow along. A good thing to do is use your pencil or pen to follow along. All right, follow along with the conversation. Stay with the conversation. That's why when you see a lot of times, you'll see that hand right next to where they are. And I think you should do the same thing with your pencil so you can just follow along with the conversation. Because what happens is a lot of students get lost in the conversation. They get lost in the conversation.
They're visiting different places of interest in California. The first one begins in Los Angeles, and there's plenty of time to visit some of the theme parks there.
See, he said it exactly. The first is in Los Angeles, and there's plenty of time to visit some of the theme parks. So, again, a lot of times what you'll see is sometimes they won't play around with the language. They may not use synonyms because they'll give you a word, that they think is difficult for you to be able to spell, like the word theme. So they weren't really playing around with synonym language or changing the word order or other kind of traps that you have to deal with. They just said, okay, you might want to plan to visit some theme parks, right? They're betting on that you're not familiar with how to spell the word theme, and that's what's going to be difficult for you. In terms of number 4 was really easy. With number 4, our correct answer was tent, and it was easy because the woman said that she said, I don't like a tent, right? Something like that. She said, I don't like a tent, right? Don't is synonym for not, and so what the language, what came directly after the word was the word tent. Again, with number 4, they tried to trick you and fool around. They tried to trick you and fool around by giving you some extra answers that you might not want to pick. Number 5 was castle. CESTLE. She said, let me move this down some. She said, will we go near? Right, so you heard them talking about Cambria, and when she said the language, will we go near, that was synonym for saying, is it on the way to? Right? Will we go near a castle? It's the same as saying that there's a castle on the way to. So that was our synonym language that we had to recognize there. That was our synonym language we had to recognize. And then for number 6, right, it said they want to spend some time on the, and you should have picked for number 6 the answer of beach. On the way to the beach. Okay.
That's something on my children's list, so I'd want to include that.
Good. Then you drive to San Francisco. From San Francisco, you can drive to Yosemite Park, where you spend a couple of nights. You can choose to stay in a lodge or on the campsite.
I don't like the idea of
See, they gave answers. Lodge, campsite.
staying in a tent.
I don't like the idea of staying in a tent. So the answer would be tent.
It'd be too hot.
Right. And the tour ends in Las Vegas.
Okay.
The other trip we can arrange is slightly different. It starts in San Francisco, then you drive south to Cambria.
Someone told me there's a really nice castle near Cambria. Will we go near that?
Hearst Castle.
Right. So she said, there's a really nice castle. Will we go near that? Right. So a lot of times, another thing you want to be aware of sometimes is what they'll do is they'll use reference pronouns like this, that, these, and those. Like she said, there's a really nice castle. Will we go near that? Right? So that is a reference pronoun for the word castle. So you see how that works sometimes. You have to pay attention to your reference pronouns because very often what will happen is they will use a reference pronoun to refer back to what the answer was that was just said. Okay? So just be aware of that also. All right, so we're going to go on to the next lecture, and we are going to focus on questions 7, 8, 9, and 10. If you see me checking the clock sometimes, it's because we have to make sure that we restrict each lecture to under 20 minutes, and so that's why we're doing it in different parts, because we have to make sure we're under that 20-minute mark. So, at any rate, take care. Talk to you soon. Listen out for the next lecture for questions 7, 8, 9, and 10.